I'm live. All right, cool. Hello, everybody. So today I'm going to be working on another comic page for Age of Night. This is going to be chapter 23, page 2. I already have my panels all laid out. I have a perspective grid laid down and 2 of the panels that actually need them. The other panels, I don't really need them. I can get away with not having them because of what's in them. Right out of frame here, I've got my thumbnails, which is the guide. This is the one that I'm working on right here. You can kind of see the similarity in the layout there. And I've got my script just beyond that so that I can refer to it in case my thumbnails don't really make it clear what exactly is supposed to be going on there. My pencil's kind of dull. I'm going to sharpen that real quick, and then we're going to start roughing in some of what's going on this page. Been a little while since I've done an Age of Night page, I think, on one of these. I've also been really dreadfully inconsistent about doing these. I'm sorry. All right. So first, I always start with the word balloons where they go because I want to make sure I leave plenty of room for them. That's the other reason I have the script right out of frame, so I can check and see like how long of a sentence that is. It's a pretty short sentence, so that should be more than enough room. And then I'm going to start roughing in. My characters here. And what is that? Oh, okay. I wasn't sure what it also helps to have the script nearby because sometimes I'm not sure what the heck I scribbled on my thumbnails. My thumbnails I tend to do really quickly, and when they're just for me, they don't have a lot of detail in them. So sometimes I look at them and I'm like, what is that supposed to be? All right. 3 good-sized word balloons on this one. There's a lot of talking going on this page, as there often is in the first couple of pages of chapter. As we're setting up what's going to happen. This chapter was actually really difficult to write, and I'm kind of nervous and excited for how it's going to turn out because it's a very, very different chapter of Age of Night. It's pretty much all action after the first couple of pages, and so I'm just kind of like nervous. I had to write it completely differently than how I normally do, and I'm just kind of nervous about how that's going to go. All right, so also see here, this is an interior, so I've got my perspective grid. This line right here, this blue line, is my horizon line. Noted on the side here, I have a couple different horizon lines on this page, so I start with HL for horizon line, and then it's H2 for the second horizon line that's on the page. That'll be this one down here, because that's a from above shot, so the horizon line's way up top. But anyway, to make sure that these characters, when you have 2 figures that are on a perspective grid together, the horizon line should intersect them at roughly the same spot in relation to it. So when characters are the same height, it should be crossing them on the exact same part on their body. So I'm just going to say that this character is the same height as this character, so the horizon line goes right through their foreheads on both of them. And that way they're going to be in perspective to each other and the rest of the room, assuming I don't mess any of this up. But that's your trick for keeping figures the right size and perspective. All right, and then we've got some background of the room that they're in. It's kind of got a curved floor. There's the curve of the room, or a curved corner. Instead of having sharp corners, it's got kind of a curved corner. So this is kind of this wall This is kind of this wall. The corner's kind of a gentle curve. And actually, I'm going to move that because I want to put the window between them for the sake of, oh, geez, my camera mount is very unstable. It's actually quite broken, and it's not even as stable as it was before because I changed my desk setup, and now it's like just barely holding on. I really need to invest in a new one. I need to get one of those like actual clampy arm thingies, but I just haven't done it yet. I just haven't gotten there yet. I always got to buy more paper. It's like buying more paper and ink and new brushes always supersedes any of this other stuff. Pretty much every time. All right. So for composition, I wanted this big old window between them here. So I moved the corner over here more. I didn't really want the window framing either one of them. It's going to be right smack in the middle of them. All right. Now, what's going on over here? We've got more balloons. I see people watching. I see you creeping in the watcher count. Say hi in the comments if you're watching. I do glance over and see if anyone's talking to me occasionally. I may not respond right away if I'm in the middle of drawing a panel, but I look up periodically to see. You're more than welcome to ask questions, and I will try to answer them. Also, I apologize I do this at sporadic times. The pattern so far, the governing logic behind when I do these streams these days is, are my children home? Do I have a few minutes to myself in which I can do this? Yes, no. Generally, the answer is no, I don't have a few minutes. Because even when everybody's at school, it's kind of like, it's actually a pretty short window because my youngest is still only in like afternoon pre-K. So he's really only gone for a few hours. And then it's like, I'm trying to race to get a bunch of stuff done. And not everything is stuff I can work on the stream. Sometimes I'm working on stuff that I can't show you guys. Or I'm like working on the computer. And I know that there's a way to get it to work on the computer, but I'm clearly a Luddite. So. All right. Hey, it's a cat. Gee, I wonder who that could be. Oh, hey, there are people watching. Clint's watching, and Doug is watching. Well, he's logged in under his Victory Condition Gaming, and he says he's only here for the scumbling. I'm sorry, there's no scumbling today. There's no scumbling, just scritching. There'll probably be a racing later. That's almost certainly going to happen. All right, so this one. No, I want more wall than that. See, look, you came in just in time for erasing. Here's some erasing action. Arrgh! It's like scumbling, but usually more frustrated. There's that crazy curved floor. We're going to have one window over here. I'm kind of like, technically I could have these walls. I could make this a 3-point grid and have these walls, like the windows on them, coming down to a point that would be down here, way down on the page somewhere. But that's an awful lot of work for a 3x3 panel or a 4-ish by 4-ish panel. It's a lot of work for a panel that once actually reproduced online and in a book is going to be like 1.5 inches. It's one of those things where it's like, occasionally you just need to work smarter and not do things like that to yourself. All right, so that down there is a stairway. Gonna rough in some stairs. The stairs need to stay in perspective with these pink lines going this way. Stairs are tricky. I don't remember if I've done stairs in perspective on this stream before. I made a note on my thumbnail. I made a teeny tiny note on my thumbnail about what's going on here, and I can't read my writing. Oh, okay. I read it now. I was not really sure what I was doing there. All right. So, all the other thing, this is a really easy trap to fall into, and I do this to myself all the time. Since we're looking down at these figures, that means that you're not going to have like instead of it being like head, I'm going to erase this, but for the purposes of demonstration, instead of it being like head, torso, pelvis, and there's all this space in between them like you expect there to be, since you're moving to look down at them, it has to be more like head is on top of torso is on top of pelvis. Those spaces need to disappear because they're overlapping each other from this view. You're looking down at the head, and I started to mess myself up there. I caught myself. And now I'm going to put that over where it belongs, and I'll erase my little demonstration dummies because there's the top of that figure's head. So it needs to be, shoulders need to be down there. Pelvis needs to be down here. Legs shorter than you expect because they're being foreshortened by the angle. Okay, now let me erase my little demonstration dummies. All right. So we've got a cat jumping down from a window ledge, like they do. Flump. And another figure going down the stairs. I think I might nudge those stairs over a little bit because right now there's just a lot of empty space in the middle of that panel, and it's not working for me. It's a little bit too much empty space. We're just going to move this over a little bit. Those stair treads still need to be in line with the pink. We'll refine that a little bit later to the extent that we need to, since a figure is going to be blocking a large part of it. All right, figure making their way down the stairs. There we go. There's still a little bit of open space in here, but that's fine. It's not as bad as it was. I don't mind it as much now. And what goes down in this panel? Oh, look, more word balloons. There's so much talking on this page. Okay, smallish word balloon here. Bigger word balloon here. Oops, I'm getting down out of frame. Let me scoot this paper up so you can see what I'm doing. That ought to do. So here we're using this big window as a framing device. So this is actually going to be like a big open panel, but the window frame kind of creates a panel inside of it, which is kind of a fun effect. I'm just playing around. I'm doing a lot of playing around and experimenting in this chapter, which is kind of exciting because it's real easy when you're doing like a big project like this to feel like you're stuck in a rut sometimes and just doing the same thing over and over and over again. Oh, that's not right. So just got crazy long alien arms. It's apparently like part Slender Man or something. Let's try that again. If I want her head to be here and her arms to be reasonably touching the window ledge, her head will need to be bigger. That's a more reasonably sized forearm. unlike those forearms the first time. Who else is watching? Hey, it's Jordan. Oh, yeah, thanks, Jordan. So it's the last day that I need to keep the bandage on. I just got this done last week. It's all hand poked. It's the Kanaz rune. So that's the rune for, it means the torch or the beacon. And it's the rune for, it looks back, I don't know if this is showing up backwards on the stream or if it's just backwards on my screen. I don't know. It's the letter K, see? Which is my last initial, which is cool. But it's also the rune for artists and creativity. So I thought that was pretty much perfect. I've wanted it since I was like 18 years old, and now I finally got it, which is very exciting. And it's almost time to take the bandage off. That'll come off tomorrow. It's been healing really nicely. And the hand poked thing, like it hardly even hurt. Like it hurt right around the knuckle, and then like right down here somewhere, it was like right on top of my tendon, and like right down at the bottom, it was right on top of that tendon there. That was kind of pinchy. The rest of it didn't hardly hurt at all. So if any of you were ever in Bangor, Maine and want a great tattoo artist for a traditional hand-poked tattoo, especially who specializes in runic stuff, my buddy David Aston goes by @DangerActual on Instagram if you want to check him out. But he works at Raven's Thorn Tattooing in Bangor, and he's a really cool dude. So. We met several years ago at a horror convention where we were both tabling. He was selling some of his artwork there. It was a really awful convention that no one showed up to. It was just like an utter bust. But I got to meet a really cool person, so that worked out. As if you couldn't tell who the cat was before. That face should really tell you. Clint approves. That's awesome. Knuckles were super hard for me, and the pain, no pain, but it made my hand bones rattle. Yeah, no, I can't imagine trying to get that done with a gun. No, thank you. Because I've had other runes. I've had other rune tattoos done with an actual tattooing gun, and yeah, that pounding sensation in my hand, I would die. I would not be able to do that. Like I like jam a finger, and just that kind of impact makes me want to throw up. Like I could not possibly do that for like an hour and be okay. The hand poking was perfect for that sort of thing. It was not traumatic at all to any of the tissues in my hand. It was really nice. All right, last panel. We're getting roughed in here. I'm just talking about tattoos. It's kind of conspicuous though when you get a new one. It was like I think it was like the first or second social interaction I had, like immediately after I got it done, and someone had a million questions, and I was like, "Oh, yep, that's right. This is going to be the rest of my life now. I'm going to be answering these questions for the rest of my life now. That's okay." When in her ridiculously high hairline, she's got so much forehead. Okay, so now everything is roughed in, and I will go, I will sharpen my pencil, and then I will proceed to actually tightening this up. How are we doing? Where are we at on time? It is 1:21, so we've been going for about 20 minutes. Now we use these basic bones I've laid down to start filling in. And make it a more, why is your ear all the way over there? That's not right. Occasionally I look at what I do and I go, that's not right. This head got awful fat back there. Let's tighten that up a little bit. Keep seeing something out of the corner of my eye, but I think it's just because there's a window looking outside, like right off to my right, and I'm just not, since I rearranged my studio not all that long ago, so I'm just not used to it being like daylight and like birds go by out there and stuff. And so I'm just like, what was that? Although it's nice, I get a lot better light over here now, rather than being crammed in the dark corner like I was for ages. There's that crazy high hairline again. Frilly undergarment collar sticking out of Wen's dress. I think it does. I have almost no eraser left on there. And my darn eraser pencil, my child broke the little handle off of. Children. That's why I can't have nice things, because I have children. There we go. Okay. I need to add the necklace chain in there, and story's been going on for a while. Wen's hair is getting pretty long. A lot longer than when we started out. Maybe not as long as it really should be, considering the amount of time that has passed, but... All right. Get rid of some of these. Get rid of some of this underdrawing here. Not that I need to do a ton of shading, but it's basically just to remind myself for when I go through to ink where I'm going to want some of those shadows to lie. Gives me a good idea too if there's anywhere where I need to kind of add some more to balance out the composition of the panel. If I were penciling this to then hand off to someone else to ink, I would want to plot out like where I wanted every little shadow, but that's not something I need to do. But spoilers? What? It's not spoilers. There's nothing. I mean, sort of. I try not to ever do really spoilery pages. I try to generally have these be pages where it's like, if you at all know what's going on in the comic, like even somewhat recently, it won't really give anything away. Although I think Jordan is not anywhere near somewhat recent, so I guess that's fair. He's just starting it. That's fair. I can understand. All right, so there's the first one. It's, maybe she dies. What? Someone else has joined. Hello. I can't read your username from here, but hello, person whose name starts with a B. Hi. My computer's not actually super close to my drafting table. I'm kind of leaning to read these, so I'm sorry. But hello, welcome. Thank you for joining. I mean, I guess the only spoiler would be like where they are, insofar as it's like, oh, this is a place they end up at some point. But I don't really consider that a spoiler. I mean, things happen and they end up places is kind of like the point of the story. But yeah, that first panel's done, by the way. Moving on. Moving on to the next one. This is one, oops, sorry. This is one very scribbly little hand trying to figure out this gesture. Hang on, I'm gonna try not to make you too seasick while I move my paper around. Clean that up a little bit. Oh, what exactly is she saying in this? Okay. All right. So just kind of this is a completely generic throwaway character, by the way. This is not anybody important. This is just who they happen to be talking to in this particular scene, but it's not anyone important. So she's just got kind of a generic, mushy throwaway face. Here's her little veil band and her veil. This is one of the priestesses of Nora, not a high priestess, just one of the regular lower priestesses in charge of doing regular lower priestessy things. Folds of fabric where the veil is kind of falling over her shoulder. Edge of her sleeve. Part of her collar. All right. Here's that character. Whoever she is, she's just there because, because there needs to be somebody around. And I didn't want it to be the high priestess, who is a major antagonizing force in this story. So like, no, we're just gonna have it be this particular scene. I just need a generic priestess who's able to relay information but not make the scene seem super tense, because it's not a super tense scene. It's kind of, easing into the action that's going to be happening in this chapter. That's starting a little bit quieter, so I didn't want to start with the high priestess who, like, basically any scene that she's in, it's like, oh no, she's going to completely wreck somebody's day, because that's just what she does. Let's see, this is all this one priestess going blah, 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 blah. So Wen's just kind of standing there watching. kind of keeping a neutral expression. Not going to spoil anything, Jordan, but Gwen's been through a lot lately. All I will say is that I felt bad for like the entirety of volume 3. It was like an entire volume of just torturing my characters. I felt so bad. I'm not the type of writer who's like, I love torturing my characters. Mwahaha. I'm always like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I ruined everything for you. I'm so sorry I made you suffer, but the story needed it. You needed to have things happen and you needed to grow. All right, get a little bit more substance to her limbs before I finish filling them in, since she's just a stick person right now. Okay. All those little folds on her mage's robes just right. Just where I want them. All right, the other arm is pretty much entirely tucked behind the one on the outside. Just kind of holding on to herself, which is a very, defensive type posture. Bottom edge of her mage's robes, which are all gathered up there. All right. There's the floor. That's a lousy line. What are we doing here? What's going on here? Let's try this again. Okay. Am I in frame? I'm not in frame. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Let me try that. Try to scoot up where you can see me. I guess that's the one advantage of if you're doing things on, if you're like streaming from drawing in Photoshop or Procreate or whatever, is that you're not going to really be able to draw out of frame. People are going to be able to see what you're working on. Whereas I can very easily just scoot out of the way of the camera and then feel like a big goober. All right, that's, which window is that? That's that window. Okay, so there's like a decoration on the wall over here. There's stuff on the walls here, so that you won't really see because there's gonna be a speech bubble there. There's that one that you'll see. Different carvings on the wall here. Right, probably not going to see those. I'm just going to kind of do a very rough. Sort of thing. More carvings over on this wall. Don't, I just hit the camera with my face. Thankfully, it does not weigh much. Let's see. Let's be like that. Okay. So all sorts of carvings and decorations and things, like you'd expect. Actually, think I want to frame in this around this window a little bit. How do I want to do this? I think I kind of want to put just a little bit of a decorative frame around this window. We'll have it go, give it kind of like an outline that goes to the floor and kind of sticks out a little bit. Ooh, or even better, goes in a little bit. A little bit of an alcove. So I'll scoot that over a little bit. So it's a little closer on this side, since this is the side we're viewing it from. A little farther on this side. And then it'll go in a little. Yes, I make design decisions like this on the fly all the time, which is probably not a good plan, but I do. And so that line of the floor, we'll need to scoot in. Oh, look, it's like, but that little detail now makes it look so much more like a real place than it did before. And there's like a little, we'll say there's like a little decorative band here. And everything is circles because it's the Temple of the Moon and everything is always circles. Everything is always little moon motifs. There, now it looks so much more like a real stone architectural detail than before, where it was just like a prop window, like in a cartoon where they had not really bothered to figure out a background for that scene. Now it looks more like a real place. Left for 10 minutes and came back and there's a lot done. Yeah, I draw fairly fast. I don't know how to draw slowly anymore. So when I lived in southern Maine, I used to go to this like figure drawing session on some weekends, and it was all these like it was at like a gallery, and all these other fine artists would go there, and they would all, it would be like a 2 hour life drawing session or something, and at the end of the 2 hours, they would all maybe have like a couple of studies or like a half done drawing, and I would like get the draw. I would I would draw the figure in the whole figure, the whole thing in like no time at all. Like a really realistic, like from life drawing too. I would have the whole thing drawn in like 45 minutes. And then I'd just be like, okay, I guess I'll like do some studies of like the model's hands now or something. Like I don't know what to do for the rest of this time. And the first time I came and did that, like the guy who organized it just stared at me like, "What are you doing? How are you done?" I'm like, I'm done. I don't know how to draw slow anymore. I just don't." Like occasionally, it would probably behoove me to slow down a little bit and spend more time on stuff, but I just don't even know how to. Years of crunching on deadlines have just taught me to be really freaking fast. All right, Drake's looking over his shoulder here. The one exception to that is something where I have to do a lot of research. Like anytime that's the one time that I go, for me, painfully slowly. Is when it's like, oh, I have to make sure that every little thing that I'm including here is correct. So every choice that I make, I'm like second guessing and looking at the sources and having to analyze how I'm going to best incorporate them and everything. Drake is like looking over his shoulder, so his tail, big floofy tail. Gotta get the big floofy tail in there. Oh no, I'm too fast and productive. It's not really that I'm too fast and productive. It's that sometimes I think I probably do rush too much, and then I could maybe be achieving better results if I would slow down, but I don't know how to make myself. I could probably be making better art if I were able to slow down and do that. All right, there's Drake on the windowsill, mischievously looking over his shoulder. And working with picky old me. Yeah, working with Clint when it's like, here, that was one of the projects that took me a very long time, much longer than I normally do, is working on his Ragnarok minis, where it's like the actual Viking characters. Clint wanted to be very historically accurate, which is really cool, but involved very much research. And so every little thing that these guys were wearing, I wanted to make sure was at least close enough to the research to, to the historic records to make it work. A little bit of liberties were taken, of course, and it is a game. And it is a game that includes like trolls and stuff. So there's trolls and magic and stuff. So yeah, a certain amount of license can be taken. But we wanted their costuming and their gear to be as accurate as we could get. So that took a very long time because I wanted to make sure it looked right. So I had to stare at the research for like every little thing they were wearing. So that did take a while, but the results were really cool. I'm really proud of that set. They came out really nice. That's part of what I enjoy about collaborating with other people, is that sometimes people have things that they want or ideas that are not something I would ever do on my own or would ever think to do, but then I get a chance to do them and do something really neat that I would have never otherwise had come to me. So trying to get these folds on the back of her veil so that you can see that her head, like the crown of her head, is up here and the veil is kind of draping off and kind of bouncing off her shoulders. Seam of her sleeve, and she's actually wearing like a tunic over that, so there's the line of that on the shoulder, even though most of that is probably going to get covered by word balloons, but still. More. Oh, that's right. And we did the little alcove thing, so all of the walls are going to be the same, so that's nice. That'll help fill in this space. What is that? Sorry, I'm trying to read these comments. It's like, oh, exactly part of why you only paint fantasy commissions. That's fair. Oh, I just knocked my microphone. There we go. It didn't fall off though, so we're fine. All right. So how did I do that alcove last time? We're going to try to do it the same this time. What time are we at? 53 minutes. Okay, so we're getting close. I only usually stream for about an hour because I can only sit still for so long. I have a hard time sitting still for longer than that. But also just, I don't want the streams to be too long and kind of dull. An hour is a pretty good length. All right, there's the little alcove. That's a little wonky. I'm going to have to straighten that out when I ink it. So cross piece here comes out a little bit. And have it be kind of curved. Little circle motifs. There we go. It fills that space in nicely. And then we can still have some of these carvings kind of just off to the side here. There we go. And we'll start working on this one, but I probably won't finish it before time. We're getting awful close at this point. So let's see, with approximately 5 minutes left in the stream, I will start doing the thing where I tell you about all the things. So it's an itty bitty cat. Itty bitty cat. So in case you were not already familiar, this is from my webcomic Age of Night. That's ageofnight.com, spelled Night, like the time of day, not like the guys in suits of armor. I update a new comic page every Wednesday. If you're one of my supporters on Patreon, then you get to see the comic pages a week early. You're always a week ahead when you're on Patreon, which is pretty fun. You also get other cool stuff, other exclusives or first looks or that sort of thing. And depending on the level that you back, you can get all sorts of fun free comics too, in addition to Age of Night. So that's patreon.com/Age of Night. That's where you can find me on there. If you want to follow me on Twitter, that's at Age of Night. That's me. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's at Amanda Call Art. So that's just my name with the word art after it. Oh, I gotta do that alcove again. See, I made this decision and now I have to stick to it. Dang it. What are the other things? I'm blanking. I feel like there are other things, but I'm blanking. It's the middle of winter, so I don't have any cons or anything coming up. Because I don't do cons in the middle of winter. I sit inside and try to keep warm and I draw. That's that. I don't know if I don't know what else. I don't know what else I'm supposed to plug. Oh yeah, this channel where you're watching this. I'm so bad at this. This is why I can't be a real YouTuber. Yeah, if you liked watching me draw and you haven't already, subscribe to my channel because I do live streams of me drawing or inking or other kind of art stuff weekly-ish on occasion. So if you subscribe and you hit the little bell thing, then your phone or your computer will tell you, hey, Amanda's drawing now if you would like to watch her do that. So that's an easy way to keep up with what I'm doing. Because it's not always as scheduled as I would like, as I was mentioning earlier in the stream. Because life. I think that's all the things. And I have like 2 minutes left. I've got like 2 minutes left. I'm not going to quite finish this, but I'm getting pretty close. Maybe I can finish this. Maybe I can finish this little figure of Wen standing at the window. Kind of, sort of. It's hard not to it's hard to get that angle just right where it's like the head is convincingly above the shoulders, but not being sucked into it. I'm not sure that I got it right this time. I may have to erase that and try again. She's heading over to the window. Push that floor back a little bit because that's like a little alcove now because I decided it was, apparently. There's the window and we'll get in the little decorative band down here. And that's gonna be about it for this hour. So I started with just the panel borders laid in and a couple of perspective grids, and now I've got 3 panels completely done. I've got 1 panel most of the way done. I just need to finish this little figure in the stairs down in the corner, and then 2 more panels roughed in. So I'm pretty darn close at this point in about 1 hour. So thank you everyone who decided to hang out and make comments and chat with me and while I was drawing. I appreciate it. And hopefully I will see you all next time. Bye.